Welcome to Wild Times in Minnesota Lake Country with Kelly and Carol. We're saying goodbye to 1 year and hello 2021.
It's about time. Woo-woo.
Our very special end of year, beginning of year episode. We will be covering some of our resolutions or intentions, whatever you want to call them, heading into the new year. And thank goodness 2020 is about to expire.
Yes. I think everybody is looking forward to a new year with great new things.
Yes. And some of the things we'll talk about is how we can enter the new year and support our Mother Earth, our earth-friendly resolutions. I have a few of those that we'll share with you. Also, our mystery birds, or not a mystery birds, on mystery sound will be coming up later on too.
Not always a bird.
Not always, but more than likely. All right. So Kelly, what do you have at the top of your list? Looking forward to 2021. What are some of the things that you are looking forward to?
Yeah, I think a lot of people get stuck on very health related, like physical health related kind of things, being more active and such. And I hope that everybody has on their list to spend more time outdoors. Although I will say that, that over the past year, a lot of people have spent a lot more time outdoors, and feeling safer being outdoors with people. So let's keep that going. I think it should be every day people should get outdoors. There's what they say, I think kids spend 6 hours a day on the TV or something, like some crazy amount of time. And it's, but even for adults, we get so busy with our lives that we don't take time to play outside either. And we need it every day, or certainly to, set the intention that at least 3 times a week, I'm going to spend 30 minutes outside, whether it's walking around the neighborhood or walking in the woods. I think that's important.
In the middle of your yard. People maybe think being outside is all about play, but maybe it is just look at it as more of a health, something you can do for yourself and a healthy thing to do.
Absolutely. And we've talked about this before, but there is scientific proof that it is healthy for you in terms of blood pressure and, so many things that are physical changes in your body that are important in being outside, as well as mental health, obviously. So, and it makes you more creative to think about really cool New Year's Eve things.
Right. And if it's not too bone-chilling cold, you can just pile on the layers, or even if it is cold, pile on the layers and get out and say you welcome the new year in outside. And, don't you think this one thing that's coming out of 2020, and you mentioned it, you touched on it, is that more people are getting outside and maybe reacquainting themselves, their relationship with nature, reintroducing themselves and finding ways to get out and maybe enjoying parks and maybe enjoying trails more, and just being more aware that those things do exist for them to use.
Yeah, I think people have found places that they might not have gone otherwise. So it's certainly safe to jump in your car and go travel to a cool explore a new park or new wild space. That's kind of fun. You could set that intention to discover one new place every month.
Mm-hmm. Yes. That sounds good. That sounds like a good intention. And that is something that I had on my list too. So think alike.
Yes.
Some of the other things too is just, like you said, just be more conscious of how things that you do affect our earth, like biking more instead of driving. If you're going somewhere a block away, don't hop in the car and turn on the ignition. Maybe walk or bike, getting on that bike. I like to do this event that happens in April. It's 30 days of biking. And you just bike every day, and it doesn't have to be, 20 miles. It can be just around the block. It can be to the store. It can just be biking down your driveway. But something like that just makes you more aware that you can get on your bike anytime, and enjoy the outdoors. Just any little thing, like just any little step, just a small step a day, and just think of how far you could go. But it just takes that one little step, even if it's just, walking outside your door and getting on your bike and biking down your driveway and biking back into the garage and calling it a day. Or like, even if it's just getting outside and walking outside, down your sidewalk and back, or down your driveway and back. There you go. There's your first outdoor experience.
Yeah, I know. Well, first of all, I wish that challenge was in May instead of April, because it's pretty cold.
Well, May is National Bike Month, so you have 2 months, and yeah, April sometimes is a little snowy and cold outside, but it gets better, and that's part of it, is that you kind of acclimate yourself as well.
Oh yeah, and it's kind of surprising that to like bike to a store and back is easier than you might think. It seems like oh, I'm gonna have to carry whatever you're purchasing or whatever back, but it's not hard to add a storage bag to your bike, or tie something on the handlebars or whatever to haul it back. And yeah, it's not as hard as you think.
Well, and the thing is, if that's what's holding you back from going to the store, is because I don't have the right equipment, maybe just let that go and just say, I'll learn the next time. I will bring something, or I don't have the rucksack or the all the equipment that you need to go to the store. I just bring one of my bags and I put it on my shoulders, and I just bike home with it on my shoulders, and it doesn't even look like a backpack. It's just a cloth grocery bag.
Oh, but a backpack works great.
Yes, a backpack works great, but you can always make do, and that's the fun thing, is that you can be creative, because I think a lot of people think they have to have certain gear just to do something, and that's kind of defeats the whole point of it all. The main thing is to keep the main thing. So just get out on your bike.
So speaking of shopping, I think so I had 2 pretty profound years that I set an intention to try to change the way I live. And one of those was to not buy anything new for a whole year.
Oh.
Like everything I had to reuse or find something that's, reused or used, and not buy anything new except for food and underwear. I couldn't, can't give on that.
I won't go down that road. Okay.
But I tell you what, it was a challenge, and there were a couple of things that I felt I kind of had to give in on. I think there were 10 things that I ended up buying new that year. And I remember one was my bicycle tire.
Oh.
I just couldn't, I don't know. I ended up buying a new bicycle tire because I needed a bicycle tire. But so yeah, everything I just, I vividly remember this experience going into Target or someplace like that, with my shopping cart. And I'm like, what am I doing? I think I needed a pillow. I thought I needed a pillow, I guess. And I went around the store a little bit, looked around, kind of, and I thought, no, I can't, I'm on a roll. I can't do this. And I put the cart back and left. And oh man, it was painful. It was really painful, but I learned a lot that year, and it certainly set habits that I still have today. Mm-hmm. About, thinking twice about buying things new. Books are a good example. Mm-hmm. Why, you can, when you're Googling where to get a book, you heard somebody had this book, obviously you can do audiobooks and not have a book in hand. But if you're the kind of person that really likes to have a book in hand, why not get the used book?
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that you can buy used, and every town has a great thrift store that probably has what you need, and some things you can just put off for a year. There were things I'm like, oh, I guess I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to do it next year because I'm not buying anything new this year. So everything was reused in my life that year.
Well, that's interesting. That's good. I think I may have gotten a Christmas gift from you that year.
Sure you did.
It was actually kind of cool. So, yeah, so that's a great thing. And two, another intention. Did you do the no plastic or thing one year too?
I did. Yeah, I should do it again. But yeah, definitely, it was an amazing experience. There's a lot of stories online about people, trying to. I'm not going to buy any plastic this year or quit using plastic, and that was probably harder. Certainly, especially with food, all of our food comes in plastic, and it just kind of brought to the forefront how much of our food is in plastic. Try buying bread without plastic, it's tricky. And and so everything, or even cereal, it's there's a plastic bag in there. So how do you do that? But one of the things I did to start off that year is got rid of the plastic I was using in the house, particularly in the kitchen, and that was cellophane and plastic bags. And to this day, I have no plastic bags and no cellophane.
Oh.
I don't use it. I just found other ways. And after, months of finding other ways to not use plastic in that way, you just don't need it anymore. So it's kind of cool. I have some great reusable containers instead of plastic, that you can always find a way to contain stuff without a baggie or cellophane.
Yes, that's good. And I tried the no plastic thing too, but like you said, the bread, but I also need plastic bags or bags to pick up after my doggie. So,
but they do have certainly recycled plastic bags for that.
But when I find myself not being able to purchase the recyclable bag, and without,
I know those rolls are really handy too.
Hands work. Just kidding.
Ew. It does kind of seep through the paper when you're trying to pick it up with paper.
Seep through my glove too. Just kidding. No, but that's something that I make a point. But also, I found that peanut butter. I love peanut butter, and you can buy it in glass jars or plastic. But the plastic peanut butter tubs, I also recycle. When I make cookies, I put the cookies in the tub and give it to somebody, or I store. I reuse what I have if I do buy something plastic.
Yeah. So is it better to buy ice cream in the plastic tub and reuse the plastic tub, or should you buy it in the cardboard container?
Or is it better to make your own ice cream and your own bread? And then you don't have to even bother with
Yes. That would be lovely if you have all that time.
Well, but the thing is, one of the things I learned this year is I introduced baking and making a lot of the stuff that I like. And bread was one of them. And it does take time, but when you do it a few times, you kind of remember, or you write the recipe on your wall. Well, the wall is covered with a little marker thing. Anyway, a chalkboard. So you either memorize the recipe or whatever, but if you do it enough, it doesn't take as long as you think, and there might be a raising of the dough that takes a few hours, but you can.
And there's nothing better than a house that smells of warm baking bread.
So there are ways around it. It might take a little time at first, but that is one of my other intentions, is just to maybe, contemplate or have more of a time to just kind of be and not be so hurried all the time. Plan a little space in the day to appreciate not only nature, but just everything that you have. Also, drawing. I've gotten into sketching a little bit. And I always like to do that, especially nature. Like I find when I sketch, I always want to, I'm a kind of a detailed person. I'm not a Monet. but it's hard to be an impressionist when you just use a pencil and paper. But I like to look at the little details and kind of like if you're drawing birds, you kind of get their shapes, and it's just you find yourself more in tune to those little things around you and really looking at things differently when you actually have to draw it. So just being more aware, I guess, being more aware and more present is something too that I think 2021 will bring.
That's awesome. That reminds me of the gratitude jar.
Oh,
So reusing a ball jar and then just having, reusable pieces of paper, but every day writing down something that you're grateful for and adding it to the jar. And what a great way to end the year is to go through and read all of these things that made your year so awesome. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that is good. Being grateful is just a very healthy thing to do. Think of something that every day there's something that you're grateful for and document that, whether it's in your journal, right? or to have a jar filled with all of those notes.
Right. So we're talking about some New Year's resolutions, New Year's intentions on wild times in Minnesota Lake Country, and talking about earth-friendly intentions or resolutions that you may want to set as we head into 2021, which is going to be, I know, an exciting year for everybody, to say the least. But one of the things too, I know we've talked about this and we've kind of joked about it on past episodes, but this has to do with the getting outside and more contemplation and just kind of being more aware. But that forest bathing, I think, is a good way to get outside and try it. And it's just essentially going into the forest or into the woods and, just kind of standing there and just kind of really breathing, take deep breaths, deep yoga, or just deep breaths in general, and soaking up the air and just really smelling the trees and the earth and all the natural scents.
Shinrin Yoku.
Oh,
that's forest bathing. Japanese term.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's great. The chemicals that come from the trees are so good for you. Spending time, that would be a great intention, that you're going to spend a certain amount of time just being outside. Mm-hmm. Or, my intention this year, I think, is to, I want to learn and get better at meditation.
Oh.
And I think that would be good. It's been a tough year to make good on that. So yeah, I think there are some good ways to feel good about meditating, whether you're outside or inside, but certainly outside is better, I think.
Well, and I always like, and I like to set challenges every month or maybe even every week.
Oh.
Like the thing about committing to doing the 30 days of biking in April, maybe I could do 30 days of biking in March, or maybe it's 30 days of walking in March. That would alleviate the cold or the having to deal with equipment during the cold, or if you didn't have it. But also I like to take pictures, we have the capabilities now to use technology, just so it doesn't overwhelm you and you're always, in the middle of the woods taking pictures. Like, I find myself doing that sometimes. I'm like, put your phone away and enjoy it. But, I like this background picture that I have. I like, there's just certain scenes that if you could hold on to a little bit more, kind of brings you joy and reminds you. And like the scene you have, beautiful, just to have that, capture that beauty.
And it does make you stop and pause. Mm-hmm. So yeah, like you said, looking more at the details of things is, taking that time to do that.
Right. If you could just kind of capture a scene of the day, then you'd have 365 pictures and make your own calendar. I don't know. Just be creative, combining more creative ways and not always taking the easy way. Easy way out of things is something a little more intention, living with intention, I guess.
Yeah, you mentioned journaling, and that's kind of another goal of mine, is to get better at documenting the phenology, or the what's happening in the seasons around you. Birds that I see, first of year FOYs, those kind of things, and just documenting that. So I have a journal of and I love it when people do that for their yards, so they have a bird list for their yard. They have animals that have come through their yards, or little stories about what the squirrel did that day in their yard, and just keeping track of those things. Hey, the first bloom on the dogwood tree happened at this time. And I think that's kind of a fun, I love to, then compare the next year. Oh, it happened earlier or later. I mean, we're in lake country, so we do that a lot with ice on and ice off. Right. And compare, is it early? Is it late?
Yes.
Are we going to have to break ice?
I love it.
Fishing opener?
Yeah, taking statistics, that's fun, because it's like, well, when do I start that? It's been going on for years, but just start it and see how long you can keep it going. And, you can hand it off to the next generation if they want it, but you can still track. It doesn't matter. Just start. I think that's the hardest part for people, is just to start something.
Yeah.
Because there's all the excuses and there's all the stuff that's been, but let's think about living in the present and just start and move on. Don't look back.
Yeah.
2020.
Routine, isn't it? Yeah. Creating a habit or setting a routine. So what is it? Is it 6 weeks? How long do you have to do something before the habit?
Oh, it isn't even. Yeah, it's about a month. I think it's 30 days.
30 days.
Mm-hmm.
You can make it through 30 days. You're good.
Right.
And it's a habit. Yeah.
And and I know a lot of people, once we head out and we kind of get the handle on this pandemic, is that I think a lot of people want to get out and have an adventure, but keeping it locally too is always. We have so many places in Lake Country to go, and I know that a lot of people might want to go far away. But it's always nice to explore your local area. And I like to do that, whether it be, supporting local businesses or local parks, or, just being able to get out again and be more social. Have your friends over in the front yard or the backyard. Or
wouldn't that be crazy if we were recording on the same microphone?
Yeah.
Oh, so nice.
Come a day.
Yep. That'll be good.
All right. So what are your intentions? And, as we head into this new year, and again, if you don't want to start on January 1st, you don't have to start on January 1st, but just make a point, have a starting point, and just do it. Taking the saying coined from Nike, just do it.
Just do it. Just do it.
All right. Well, that brings us, Kelly, to our mystery sound of the day, of the final 2020 going into 2021.
Yeah, New Year's is kind of fun. When you think of New Year's, you might think of the New Year's baby, maybe. Oh. What is the symbol of the New Year? Is New Year's baby, which could be odd sounds.
Wow.
But I think the best.
Okay, is there something that you need to tell us, Kelly? I think that baby giggles more than we do.
Your sound. Because the baby sound we want to get rid of is this one. That's 21.
Don't want to be that baby.
Yeah, and this will be 2021. But But I thought, so for sounds, this is a great time to think about baby sounds. So I'm wondering if you know what this baby sound is. That's kind of a hard one, isn't it?
Well, it's a bird, I think.
It is a bird, yeah.
It sounds like a hawk, maybe?
Oh, it does kind of sound like a hawk, yeah. So if you were to listen to the adult of this, it might sound like this. So there are some wild babies that happen early in the year, in January, or as early as January, and the great horned owl is one of those. Wow. That is very early. So little baby owl.
Fuzzy. He's a fuzzy little owl.
Yeah, they are fuzzy. It's not like, some baby birds are really ugly. With like sparse feathers, and actually eagles, I think, are kind of ugly, a little strange, but owls are often really fuzzy, and great horns, because it's cold. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of down to keep them warm. But great horned owls will start nesting quite early in the season. I mean, I think February is they're usually having babies by February, but another baby that happens that I didn't think of is bears are having their young in the hibernation hut also in January. So there are some Minnesota babies that happen early in the season, like great horned owls.
Oh, there he is. Okay. So that's very cool. So do they have a couple of owlets? Are they called owlets?
Yes, owlets.
Okay. Do they usually have one or two or three?
Yes, one or two. Okay. At least in the great horned owl. I mean, they could have three, but I think two is pretty common for these owls.
Very cool. And it looks like that nest is in a pine tree. Do they typically pick different, one kind of tree, or is it just a high, big tree, a large tree?
Yeah, so they can be big sticks in a tree, but a lot of times they will steal the nest of other birds, whether it's osprey or eagle. They like a nice big nest of sticks. And that's kind of an advantage because they're there early. They have an opportunity to steal that nest before the osprey come back. So, so osprey might have to build a new nest because the great horned owls took over.
Okay. Very cool.
That would kind of suck if you came home and somebody else moved into your house. Hey!
Squatters are in our house. All right. So our great horned owl is our mystery, a baby great horned owl. And we heard mama, or was that daddy? Do male and female sound the same?
So, yes. So typically, so a male is going to be calling, territorial, setting, kind of hooting. Unlike other owls, like our barred owl, I feel like the great horn has
the belly of the owl. Those owls are a real hoot.
The hoot. Right. They can also growl.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Is that a warning hoot?
Yeah. Why would they growl?
If I heard that, does it mean to clear out? Clear out immediately?
If something were to come into the nest, they might growl it away. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Kelly Blackledge, Carol Fisher, Wild Times in Minnesota Lake Country. Happy New Year.
And yeah.
Our New Year resolution intention show. So hopefully you'll get out there and hear some of the wild things going on.
After your wild party.
That's right. That's right. And I think, Kelly, we need to toast to 2021 and the good things ahead. And may we not look back on 2020. Good riddance to 2020.
Good riddance, yeah.
Good things to 2021.
Yes, it's going to be a fun year.
All right, here's to wild times of your own, and thanks for tuning in, and Happy New Year and all that jazz.
Happy New Year.